In the event, making Charles a friend didn't prove too difficult. The next day, mid-morning, Robert stole a few moments without Mr. Tugbury seeing him and accompanied James upstairs so he could see where Charles's work desk was. They noticed another boy, younger and smaller than themselves, obviously being a nuisance. He was jeering and mocking Charles and kept darting forward and jabbing him in the ribs. Immediately, Robert strode forward and grabbed the boy by the arm. James seized the other arm, and they wheeled him around, deposited him further down the corridor, and then propelled him even further away with a push in the back. The boy stumbled, regained his balance, and then scowled at Robert and James before retreating downstairs. "Oh, thank you," said Charles gratefully. "He makes my life a misery. Ned's only little, but he relies on the fact that he has an older brother working here to protect him, Jack Skimble. I'd stay out of his way if you can." So, acting on instinct, Robert and James had put Lucy's plan to befriend Charles into action. After work, they accompanied Charles back to Lant Street. "Do you fancy a stroll after we've all eaten?" Robert suggested. "You could show us around. We don't know this area, so it would be good to have a guide." "Why, yes," replied Charles. "I like to walk and observe life. There's an area called St. Giles. It's a little bit, let's say it's full of character. It would be good to have company and explore it some more. It's a little, dodgy," suggested Robert. "Yes, that's it. A good word. An artful word," said James. It turned out that dodgy was an underestimation. Robert and James had never seen anything like the slums of St. Giles before. It was an area that Charles called the Rookery, and was a maze of tiny alleys and dilapidated houses, many with other structures tacked on, overlooking the filthy passageways below. There were men and women slumped in alleyways, clutching empty gin bottles. There were toddlers dressed in rags playing in the dirt, children begging, boys tussling. Men were fighting too, being cheered on by a crowd outside a public house. There were people everywhere, in doorways, leaning against walls, and peering out of broken windows. Some looked furtive, some were barely conscious, and others aggressive or roaring with laughter. "It's not their fault," explained Charles. "They don't have enough money to live anywhere else, and so they just sink down and down. Look." He pointed to a hole in the middle of a house wall, disgorging raw sewage onto the street. "That may well be a gully going through someone's room. Come on, keep walking. It's not safe to loiter, and the police won't come into the Rookery.